Chapter 6, Ho Zhonghua's Shock. After what felt like an eternity, Ho Zhonghua slowly stood up. His face was pale, and his body hunched as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. He couldn't begin to fathom the magnitude of the impending wrath from the Temple of the Gods. This was not something he could handle. Though officially the Temple of the Gods had no connection to Daxia, no one would believe that. Why else would the temple's leader and the 4 heavenly kings and 9 god generals all be Daxian? Officer Ho? What's going on? What should we do? Xing Feng asked, his voice filled with anxiety. Ho Zhonghua snapped back to reality, looking bitterly at Xing Feng. Don't ask. Issue a gag order about today. No one who came here is allowed to speak a single word about what happened. Have them all sign non-disclosure agreements. As for what to do, just go home, lock your doors, and stay out of everything for the next few days. Xing Feng pressed on, but Officer Ho, Chief Wang told me to leave some men stationed down the mountain. Should I stay or leave? Ho Zhonghua hesitated for a moment before saying, leave a few men, but don't get involved no matter what happens. Just follow Chief Wang's orders. Yes, sir. Xing Feng nodded and took a few men with him to the outskirts, while Ho Zhonghua led the rest of the Sky Patrol unit away. The situation in Xianjiang was about to escalate, and he needed to prepare for the storm to come. As he departed, he couldn't help but feel an overwhelming urge to strangle Zhou Jia and his entire family. The Zhou family might be powerful, but what were they thinking provoking the Temple of the Gods? It was suicide. Still, it was too late, nothing he could do now would calm the storm. Meanwhile, outside the villa, Xiao Tianze was heading toward Gao Weiwei. His thoughts were consumed by her image, his heart heavy with a mix of guilt and complexity. Gao Weiwei had been such a bright, cheerful girl 6 years ago, just out of college, full of hope and dreams. She was kind, gentle, and beautiful, even risking her life to help him despite knowing he was being hunted. Even when he, in a moment of madness, hurt her, she never once blamed him. Before he left, she had given him all the money she had. But what Xiao Tianze never expected was that she had become pregnant after that night and had given birth to their child, Xiao Xiao. As the news echoed in his mind, his guilt and sorrow became indescribable. He couldn't imagine how such a strong-willed woman had managed to raise a child alone. I'm sorry. Please give me a chance to take care of you and Xiao Xiao. I will never fail you again. I'm so sorry, Weiwei, Xiao Tianze whispered, his eyes red with emotion. About 10 minutes later, Xiao Tianze arrived in front of a villa in the eastern part of the city and found Tian Qi standing guard. He had been worried about Gao Weiwei's safety and decided to stay close by. When he saw Xiao Tianze approaching, he was visibly surprised. Master? You're awake? How's your injury? Tian Qi asked, concern evident in his voice. Xiao Tianze glanced at the villa where Gao Weiwei was staying. It's fine. Has Zhou Jia arrived yet? Tian Qi shook his head. Not yet, but our men say he'll be here soon. Master, the mistress has come out, he trailed off as he pointed toward the villa's entrance. Xiao Tianze's gaze followed, and there she was, Gao Weiwei, walking out with another woman. She was different from the girl he remembered. Dressed in old, worn jeans, she looked exhausted, but her beauty was still undeniable. Xiao Tianze's heart ached as he motioned for Tian Qi to step back with him. At the villa's entrance, Shen Yuxuan was desperately pulling at Gao Weiwei's arm, pleading with her, Weiwei, just wait one more day. My dad will be back tomorrow, and I've already told him everything. He'll help you, I promise. Please, don't go with Zhou Jia. You'll ruin your life. Shen Yuxuan looked at her fiercely independent friend with anguish. Even though Weiwei had been in Xianjiang for so long, she had chosen to work as a waitress rather than ask for help. It was only after her daughter was taken that she had finally come to Shen Yuxuan. Gao Weiwei's eyes were swollen, her face a picture of despair. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she spoke. Yuxuan, you saw the video Zhou Jie sent. He's making Xiao Xiao eat slop. She's so young. I can't bear it. Zhou Jie gave me an ultimatum. If I don't go to him, he'll hurt her. This is my fate. Don't try to stop me. Shen Yuxuan shook her head frantically. Weiwei, are you still not going to tell me who Xiao Xiao's father is? Even now? Where is he? Why hasn't he come to help? Gao Weiwei stiffened at the question, her pain deepening. She sighed heavily. Him? I don't even know where he is. He doesn't even know I had a child. He was gravely injured and unconscious when it happened. When he woke up, he didn't remember anything. He's suffered enough. I never told him. Shen Yuxuan's jaw dropped in disbelief. Her friend's stubborn independence was both admirable and heartbreaking. She couldn't find the words to respond, and instead, clutched Gao Weiwei's arm tighter. Before Shen Yuxuan could plead further, 3 black Mercedes-Benz cars pulled up in front of them. A group of men in black suits stepped out, led by a man in a white suit with a bandage wrapped around his head, Zhou Jie. Zhou Jie remained standing by his car, a cold smirk on his face as he looked at Gao Weiwei. Well, Gao Weiwei, you could have lived in luxury with me and sent your little brat to the best schools. But you just had to resist. Now look where that's gotten you. Upon seeing Zhou Jie, Gao Weiwei's eyes filled with pure hatred. She clenched her fists so tightly that her entire body trembled. What are you staring at? Get over here, or I'll kill your daughter. Zhou Jie shouted, his patience wearing thin. Gao Weiwei bit her lip so hard it bled, but in the end, she broke free from Shen Yuxuan's grip and walked toward Zhou Jie. Weiwei. Shen Yuxuan called out desperately. Gao Weiwei's body trembled at the sound of her name, but she didn't look back. Humph. Shen Yuxuan, don't think that just because you're Shen Qingtian's daughter you can meddle in my business. Push me, and I'll deal with you too. Zhou Jie sneered before getting into his car, watching with satisfaction as Gao Weiwei climbed into the back seat. As the car drove off, Shen Yuxuan watched in despair. She knew her friend's future was doomed to darkness, with no hope of redemption. Inside the car, Zhou Jie sneered at Gao Weiwei. Don't forget your promise. Gao Weiwei stared at him with bloodshot eyes, filled with a burning desire to kill him. Her hatred ran bone deep, but with her daughter still in his clutches, she couldn't even bring herself to curse him. She had never felt so hopeless. The words Shen Yuxuan had spoken earlier echoed in her mind. Where is Xiao Xiao's father? Why hasn't he come? Xiao Tianzi, are you still alive? Will you ever know that you have a daughter? If you're alive, will you ever meet her? Will you save us? Gao Weiwei whispered in her heart, but she knew it was impossible. Xiao Tianzi didn't know she had given birth, so how could he ever appear? Just then, Gao Weiwei's thoughts were interrupted by Zhou Jie's furious shout from the driver's seat. What the hell? This idiot wants to die standing in the middle of the road? Fine, I'll run him over. His voice snapped Gao Weiwei out of her thoughts. She opened her eyes and looked ahead. In that moment, her entire world exploded. The figure in the road, it was unmistakably Xiao Tianzi. Before she could react, the car sped toward him, but what happened next left everyone speechless. The man standing in the road raised his right hand and brought it down in a powerful strike. With a thunderous boom, the car came to an abrupt halt, the rear end lifted high off the ground. As the car tilted upward, Gao Weiwei leaned forward and finally saw his face. It was him, Xiao Tianzi. Tears filled her eyes as she stared at him. He looked back at her, his eyes also red with emotion. Through the car window, they gazed at each other, separated but connected, their hearts speaking across the distance. Hello, comment friends, follow up with your opinions and keep updating the plot at night.